Hi everyone, welcome to our first tutorial on how to use Fusion 360 to model a real object. So today what we're really just kind of getting used to is the feel of Fusion 360. We don't really care, I don't really care if you learn how to use it today, just getting a feel for it and seeing, most importantly, how well it runs on your computer, whether it's slow and choppy or whether it's, okay to use. If it's slow and choppy, we're going to come up with some other solutions. We're working on it right now as a district. So let's give it a shot. Today we're going to be modeling this little Lego toy. So you can see it has a 45-degree angle here, and it's got a small little face here in the front, and then it's got one little knob on top. And today we're going to ignore the fact that it's hollowed out. We're going to just make it solid. So we're basically going to make this object. To do it, what we're going to do first is we are going to sketch this side. So we're going to sketch the right side of the Lego, and we're going to tell it this shape, and then we're going to tell Fusion 360 to grab that shape and pull it out. What's called extruding it. Pull it out and make something out of that. All right, so let's get started. You should be looking at a Fusion 360 screen once you open it that looks something like this. First thing we're going to do is we're going to save our project. So let's go up here to the file and hit save. Let's just call this Lego practice piece. And whatever the location is, leave it. We'll deal with locations later. Mine's in this weird folder that I have. You can see that we can make all kinds of fun places. I'm just going to undo that. I'm just going to hit save here and let it go wherever it goes. All right. So that's step one. We can save a file. The next thing we're going to do is we need to change our units that we're using. Right now it's measuring in inches, and for something like this, it's going to be easier to use centimeters. They're so much easier to work with. So we're going to click here on Document Settings right here. Come down here to Units, and if yours says inches, you have to go here to change the active units. It will bring up a window. It'll ask you what unit type you want, and you have all these wonderful options. Centimeters, millimeters, meters, inches, or feet. We're going to choose centimeters. And we're going to click Set as Default. Mine's already set as default, but set yours as default. If you need to change it, you can in the future, but it's going to open every time in centimeters, so you don't have to change the centimeters every time you open it. And then just click OK. I'm going to hit Cancel because mine's already set to centimeters. Okay. So far, so good. Let's model it. First thing we're going to do, like I said, is we are going to draw this right side face. So to be able to draw that, we're going to go here and say, create a sketch. And we want to draw it on the right side. Notice up here in the right is what's called the navigation cube. So it lets you kind of rotate the object around. We're going to click on the right side. Boom. And when we do that, it should look like this. We're looking at the right side of our canvas at this point. And then we're going to click on this like orangey square in the middle. Boom. And it's going to take us in. Now it's in sketch mode. Now we can start drawing. We're drawing on the right face. Okay. So to start drawing this, I'm going to start like this. And I'm going to draw up and over this face. And then I'm going to come back down to the beginning, and I'm going to draw over and up, and then I'm going to connect them with an angle between. That way I don't have to measure the angle. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab my line tool here, click on it, and then I'm going to come down here to the origin, the very center. Notice there's a blue box around it. That means you've got the origin. You're right on the starting point. I'm going to click once. That tells me where my line starts. And then I need to know how far up to go. So I'm drawing this side. I'm going to use my handy dandy calipers to measure exactly how far that is. And that distance that we're going up is 1 centimeter up. So I can just drag the line up to the 1 centimeter mark. Now I can do this one of two ways. I can just keep moving it around till I get it just right, or I can type in a number here, 1.0, or just 1, and when I hit enter, it'll lock it to that size. Now notice how that's a really small line on my screen. Well, I want to zoom in so I can see that better. So I'm going to put my cursor right in the middle of where I want to zoom in. And then I'm going to use the roller ball on my mouse and roll it down to zoom in. Up will zoom out, down will zoom in. Okay, so I'm going to zoom into about there. Now, if that's not centered, let's say that, notice how if I put my cursor way over here and I zoom in wherever my cursor is pointing and I lose my object. Well, that's easy to fix. If I push my roller ball straight down like a button push, it'll give me the pan hand, and I can just scooch my window up to here. Now, if I don't have a roller ball on my mouse or I'm using a trackpad, I can always come down here and click on the hand tool, and that'll let me move it around. And then if I hit escape on my keyboard, top left on my keyboard, escape, that gets me out of the pan tool. So now it's locked into place now. So that lets me go back and forth. If I don't have a roller ball on a mouse I can also zoom in by just going zoom. And then if I click and drag on the screen, clicking and dragging up zooms out, clicking and dragging down zooms in. And it zooms in on the point that I initially clicked on. The other way to zoom is to zoom, highlight the thing you want to zoom. So this little zoom window button says whatever you draw a box over, you'll zoom into that box. So for example, I'm going to zoom back out with my roller ball. You may not have that. If I'm way out here and I want to zoom in on this, I can grab this tool and just drag a box around it about the size that I want. And notice a little plus in the middle. That's where it's going to be zooming in centered on. And there it goes, zoomed in. So a bunch of ways to zoom and a bunch of ways to pan. So remember, panning is moving around left and right and up and down. Zooming is getting bigger and getting smaller. All right, piece of cake. If you can get a mouse with a roller ball on it, it is so much easier. Mine looks like this. They're pretty cheap, probably under $10 or right around $10 to get one, maybe 15 at most. You don't need anything fancy, just a roller ball. It makes life a lot easier. If you don't have it though, these tools down here work great. They'll just be a little bit slower. All right, so now we've drawn this front edge. We're going to draw this edge across the top here. I need to measure it really quickly to find out what it is. It is 0.8 centimeters. So I'm going to go back up here to my line tool, click on it. I'm going to go back to here where I want my thing to start. Notice the blue box means I've grabbed onto that point there. And then I'm just going to go over, and I'm just going to type in 0.8. I'm going to make sure I'm not up here somewhere. Like I don't want an angle here. I want it to snap. It'll snap like right to 90 degrees right there. And then I'm going to click the mouse button, and that will draw that line over to there. And notice it even told me how big it is now. Okay. Now I'm done drawing the lines on this side. Remember, I'm going to go down to the bottom. So I'm going to turn this line feature off. And don't get confused. This isn't an actual line on your drawing. Whoops. I just extra clicked. So if you extra click on something, what you can do is hit escape. That'll stop the drawing. And then you can click on it. See how it turned to dark blue? And just push delete. That lets you just get rid of things you mess up on. Okay. Also, Control Z will undo it once. Will undo what you just did. So I'm going to go back up here to the line tool again. I'm going to go down to this corner. And now I'm going to draw this bottom one and the little up one there. So I need to measure how far to draw that. And it is 1.6 centimeters. So I'm going to grab here. And I'm going to pull off to the left. And once it gets there, I'm going to say 1.6. And I'm going to push enter. And it's going to grab it. It told me, oh, look, it's 1.6 centimeters. And now I'm going to do another one, which is this little up part. I don't know if you can see it, this little bitty up part here on the side. We're going to measure it really quickly. And it is 0.2. So I'm going to grab my line tool again if I don't have it. It's not already identified. And I'm going to click here. And I'm going to go, that's 0.1. I want 0.2. We'll type in 0.2 and press enter. And now my next one, boom, goes here to this corner. Click, and I've got it. Now I have drawn this shape that's on your screen. Maybe it's this way for you guys. I'm not sure. However it looks. But I've drawn that one side. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pull that side out. And we're going to make it like into a thing. Let me show you what I mean by that. So first of all, I'm done drawing my sketch for the side. So I'm going to say finish sketch here. That's going to take me out of sketch mode. And it's going to move me. I'll just take a second on my computer. It's a little slow today. And so now I'm looking at the right side of the object. And then I'm going to click on the home button. That'll bring me back to a perspective view. So it's like a this view. But notice something else I can do to look at the angle is I can grab this cube and I can rotate it all around and see what the angles look like. I can also, whenever I get confused about where I am, say I rotate it randomly and I get really lost. I'm like, what is that? If I click on home, I go back to that home perspective every time, that original perspective we started with. Now, if I click on the front, notice how I don't have an actual object. It's just a drawing. Like there's no depth to it yet. So I need to go back out to home, and I need to do what's called extrude, which is take that shape and pull it into reality, pull it into a real object. And the extrude button is here. Or just the letter E on your keyboard is the easiest way to do it. So I just push E on my keyboard, and the extrude feature will come up. It's going to ask me, what do I want to extrude? And it's already selected this for me. It's guessed what I want to extrude. And now I need to figure out how much I want to extrude by. So I've got it like this right now. I need this distance, how deep it is. So I measured that, and it is 0.8 centimeters. So I'm going to do 0.8. Boom. And notice it just pulled it out, 0.8. And then I'm going to click OK. I'm all done now. Notice how cool that is. I just took the shape of the side and pulled it out into a real thing. Well, I mean, it's a real thing on the computer, right? Not quite a real thing yet. Now remember, if I want to move, if this is off center or messed up, I can push my roller ball, move it back to the middle of my screen, or I can use the pan button, click on the hand, move it around the screen, put it right back in the center, and then remember to get rid of the hand, I have to hit escape to get rid of the hand. If I'm zoomed in too far, I can click here. That'll give me the zooming tool. Click on my screen somewhere, and if I go down, I zoom in. If I go up, I zoom out. I can click again in the middle and zoom out again. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. Now, if it's too small and I want to zoom in quickly, I can also grab this zoom window tool and just draw a box around the thing I want to zoom in on. Boom. And it'll zoom right in on it. So a bunch of ways to zoom, a bunch of ways to pan. All right. So next thing we want to do, last thing we want to do is we want to just make this little knob on top, this little circle, the little, I don't know what it's called, nub on top of it. To do that, we're going to go back to sketches. So first we've got to draw a circle sketch on top of it and then pull it out again. So we're going to go to our sketch. It's going to ask us, once you see this, you see all these grids show up again. It's asking you where you want to draw the sketch. You want to draw it right on top of the object. Boom. And when we do that, it's going to rotate it so the top of the object's facing us. And now we can start doing our sketch right on top of the object. So I'm going to grab a circle, and I'm going to come here, and I'm going to roughly line it up in the center. We'll talk over time how to do this precisely, so you get exactly in the center of this square, but we're going to just do it right there and go roughly center. I think that's almost probably perfect. And I'm going to measure the diameter of this, and it's 0.5 centimeters across. So I'm going to pull it out to the side. Notice how it's starting to draw a circle for me. And what it's referring to here is the diameter all the way across the circle. So I want it to be 0.5. So now it's snapped to perfectly to 0.5. I hit enter. That snapped in my line. It's all ready to go. Now I'm done. I've got my sketch. I just need to pull it off the surface now. So I'm going to hit finish sketch. Notice how it rotated me back to home. And you can see the circle I drew is right on top, on the top face of my friend, the little Lego piece. So now to extrude, remember I just pushed the E key, click on the thing I want to extrude. In this case, I want to extrude the middle and pull it out, right? And then when I do that, I'm just going to type in the distance I want to go. I want to go, let me measure it real quick. That one is 1.1. That one's 10. So it's about 0.15 centimeters. And boom, I'm going to push OK. Or enter is fine on the keyboard. Give it a second, and it just made that piece right there. And now we can see that what we have is that Lego piece. How crazy cool is that? The only thing we didn't do yet is hollow out the insides. We'll do that in a future lesson. But that is how you navigate, how you pan, and how you zoom, and how you start extruding simple shapes. We'll talk much more about this over time, but that was a nice little introduction. Hopefully you're able to make the piece, and we'll see you in class soon. Bye, everybody.